Hey guys, well today we finally got the transmission done. Randy ended up getting it to me within, man, probably about a day. He ended up tearing it apart, putting it back together. You guys saw the issue we had with the forward drum and how that came apart. That was just going back and forth in the driveway trying to fill it. So what I ended up doing was called Cone, and I ended up getting a billet aluminum one. Just thought I'd spend the extra money and just go that route. So it saves something like 6 pounds of rotating mass as well. Did I really need it? No, but at that point I was just tired. I don't want to deal with this again. I didn't get to drive it down the road. So it's all back together. I just put the torque converter back in it. So it's pretty much, I flushed the converter and we have a new transmission filter in it. Other than that, everything looked great. I mean, there's nothing time-wise on it. So that's getting ready to go back in. I got to get it up on the transmission jack. Okay, so the transmission jack is broke. It will not go up. And that's as low as it gets right there. Man. So I got these railroad slabs on the cart. Oh, this is not how I wanted to do this. So this is as high as it is. This right here is about, solar plexus for me. So at that point, I have to bring the car down a lot. So it's going to be back doing the little roll around carts and getting underneath, but you know what? You do what you got to do, right? So I'm hoping this stays. I am really hoping this stays. So it's going to be lower the car, snake it in, and what I got to do is I got to miss the wiring right up there on the firewall. The dipstick tube's going to go through there, so I got to make sure I miss that. I'm just going to go through and get my transmission lines. This is for temp. This is trans brake stuff, so I'm going to double check my lines, make sure everything looks good, and it's just all simple hookups. But yeah, yep. I was hoping the tranny jack was going to work. All of a sudden, I'm trying it, and it was like, pumping, and nothing's going on. I thought, all right, well, the valve's not working. We haven't used this thing. I don't think we've ever used it since it's been in here. So pulled it out of the corner, and I don't know. It could be a seal, but I'm not working on that right now. We're going to work on getting that transmission in. But hey, keep moving forward, right? Alrighty, so the transmission is partially in. You can see we got one bolt there, I got one bolt there, and one just above it. Now, she's still a little loose, so I can put the rear transmission cross member in, get that set up, and then we can get up inside the car and finish off on tightening up everything up there. But that was a pain in the butt, as you guys could see. Oh, but the old man showed up. He was working the controls on the outside while I was crawling on my hands and knees underneath the car. But hey, it still beats putting it on a set of jack stands and having to do it the old-fashioned way in that sense. So let's keep moving. So what I was trying to get away with on that one was I left the motor mount, the transmission mount on obviously on the transmission. I took it out that way and I figured I could put it back in, but with the transmission with its slight tilt to it, and I kept trying to lift the thing up, I just couldn't get that transmission mount in, so that's why I ended up taking it off. Back in the day, I normally used to never take the transmission mount off because, like taking a motor in and out of a car, you could just jack up the transmission and it would kind of just slide onto it. So once I took it out, I just didn't even think about it. So I had to remove the tranny mount, put the actual cross member in, put everything back together, got that done. So now, transmission's not completely bolted in yet. I'm going to lower the car to the ground, put that stuff in, get that stuff done. But tranny lines are on, trans brakes wired up, hooked up, put back in, cross members in and tight. And then, now I have to do torque converter bolts. So I got to get that in, and got to get that bad boy in, get that done. Just got done putting the drive shaft in, so that's all in tight, ready to rock and roll. Shifters in it, but what I'm going to do is run through the linkage again. Probably put the old man in there, and we'll just go through park, reverse, neutral, drive, first, second, third, all that stuff. Got the wiring up and out of the way. I have to tighten up the header. I got to get that done. I got to tighten up the rest of the transmission inside the engine compartment. What was I working on? Putting in transmission lines. Bloop, there they are. Now what you might have saw dangling was trans brake. Well, sometimes, for whatever reason, people sometimes neglect this one, but if you're having a heck of a time trying to get to your transmission lines and you just can't get to them because, header's in the way and all that stuff, take your trans brake out. It's super simple. Just take trans brake out. You're going to free up, a nice chunk of room here to where, I'm trying to get this bad boy in here, because what happens is when she's in, now it's in. Well, trying to get your hand through here and get a wrench up there, just get a 6AN wrench up there, it's a pain in the butt. A lot of times people forget that you can just trans brake out. Let her dangle a little bit. And now I got plenty of room to where I can grab right onto these bad boys. Plus I have plenty of room for the wrenches. So, food for thought. If you guys are stuck and you're having that problem, take out the trans brake. Sometimes helps you out. So now we are going to get to the rear transmission mount, get that up a little bit, which is going to take the transmission and put it a little more flush against the block. I got a gap maybe that big. It's not super bad, but it's a little bit. And then that way it's just going to take some of the weight off, because right now it's just kind of hanging on those bolts. Is it super bad and it's going to fall off and all that? No, I got a couple of bolts that are almost completely tightened. So it's not super bad. So that's where we're going next. Another little fun fact for you guys. Torque converter bolts. Once you Loctite them down, and hopefully you do, once you Loctite these things, a lot of times taking them apart's a pain in the butt, and trying to clean off the Loctite is always a pain in the butt. Here's one thing that'll get you through it pretty quick to hurry up and clean them, and then you're just going to reapply Loctite and put everything back together. But if you fall into this thing of, hey, I had to take the transmission out to get it fixed, and you're reusing your bolts, and you're using, the same thing as what I got, just nice ARPs. Well, what you can see is threads are kind of cleaned up now. And then you can see where I saved one. You can see where that is, and then obviously where we have the Loctite in. Well, those are nice and clean. All I do is torch. Get them nice and hot. We all know this from taking them off. Well, if you have some Loctite in there, what I'll do is get it nice and hot, get it to kind of liquefy. And at that point, obviously I'm going to let it cool off, and the stuff becomes really brittle. You can just literally just clean it right out. Threads are clean, you're ready to rock and roll. So if you guys are fighting with that and it's like, man, I'm really fighting trying to get the Loctite cleaned off, or you forget to clean it off and you're trying to put your stuff back on, and it takes you 5 minutes to do one bolt, well, clean the Loctite off, apply fresh. But this is a way to get that Loctite off in a jiffy. Okay, welcome back. It's day 2. So hopefully all you guys slept well, getting ready to get moving on the car, finishing things up here. I know I left off on, I think I put the transmission bolts in. I'd have to go back through and see what I did, but pretty sure I got the tranny bolts in. What I've done so far today, I got the exhaust on, and right now I'm hooking the shifter back up. Pretty basic, easy to go through stuff here. Also did a couple of little things. Let me show you. Hi. So real quick, I was just getting ready to do this, and I thought, I know a lot of you guys know this, but just in case for the guys that don't know this, when you're installing an aftermarket shifter, you don't simply just install it, throw it in park, and take the transmission lever, which is right here. There's the little end that fits in. It's your transmission lever that you just put it in park, click it on, and call it a day. All right. What I want you to do to make sure, because now here's the thing, if you screw up and you just did that, and let's just say you put it back in first and you're kind of half in, half out of a gear, that's going to throw the valve body itself off a little bit, and all the passageways where the fluid goes through, if you're restricting it or blocking it, you can burn up clutches, you can screw the transmission up, okay? So what you're going to do is, you're literally going to go through here. Let me pull this little guy out, sorry. Pulling my little cotter pin out. What you're going to do is, imagine I went through every gear. So right now this slides in and out really easy. Right now I'm in park. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go right to reverse. So I'm going to click it to reverse, go up there, put it in reverse, then go to neutral, then go to first, second, third. I'm going to make sure that this, I'm going to go back to park because I'm doing my initial setup, that this slides in just as easy as that. Just boom. Now if all of a sudden I'm going to lengthen it, it starts doing this, and you're kind of fighting and binding, and then it kind of goes in. I got it in, but I did a full turn towards you guys. Well, you don't want that. You want this to slip in and out, just nice and easy like that. Now let's say I go backwards. All of a sudden you're kind of fighting it, you're, then I got it. Well, what I'm doing is I'm putting a slight bend in this as well. Well, then that is also gonna screw up, let's just say, the geometry inside there for how far that needs to extend and collapse. Well, if you're binding it, say it's a straight line, and all of a sudden you're taking that line and you're binding it, okay, well, point A here to point B here has now shrunk. So think of those passageways inside the transmission. Well, they're not moving like that. So if you screw that up, your say the passageways have to, come over like that, and then that's going to be like first gear, whatever. And if all of a sudden you screw this up and those passageways come over and they go like this, well, that's not good. Now you understand how you can possibly burn something up inside the transmission. So make sure you go through park, reverse, neutral, first, second, third. Make sure each one just plops in and plops out. No grinding, no binding, nothing like that. Okay. So, anyways, I'm going to show you what I was originally going to show you, but I was at this point and I figured I would just give you guys this info. Okay, before I put the exhaust and stuff on, one of the things I was fighting was, can you see? Yep, my brake line here was really close to the header right here. It was almost laying on it. Now, I mean, you can see I can stick my hand up in here. So what I ended up doing was I made a nice little bracket that put it against the frame, and then also over on this side here, I did the same thing. So it was just one of those things that, I'm down here, I'm on a cart, but it was one of those things that I wanted to address before I got the car done. Next thing I'm doing is I did an oil filter relocation kit because, let me move you guys here, because you can see there is no way that you are going to get an oil filter right there. Just it's not going to happen. So I ended up, because these are those Hedman Hustlers, this pipe, I mean, screws everything up. And trying to put a filter in through here, and it ain't going to work. For you guys that have these and you don't have a relocation kit, I'm sure you've made up many, many curse words. So anyways, so that I have now coming up through here. Well, one of the things that I'm having a problem with is, you see where this is hitting right on the steering right here? Well, if all of a sudden this catches that steering and it pulls itself in, it's going to go underneath the oil pan here. Last thing you want to do is rip and tear into an oil line. So what I did was, I got some of these guys. These would be like your fuel line, heater hose clamps and all that. Well, what I did was I'm going to take them and I'm going to put them back to back just like that. All right? Looks like a pair of boobies. Eh, big pair of boobies. So anyways, what I'm doing is I'm going to have those like that. And hold on one second. Let me grab my bracket. Should be dry. Okay, so my bracket's nice and dry. So now what I'm going to do is, off the oil pan bolt that's up here. Let's see if I can give you guys a better angle here. Oh, I'm trying. Okay, there it is. So off this pan bolt right here, where my hand is blocking it, right there, I made this bracket. So what it's going to do is I'm going to come off the pan like that, and then you can see how the bracket's hanging itself down. Okay, well now, once I sandwich this in, these are going to slide right in between here, and you can see how it's going to hold those lines up. So now the lines will be held up here. So I'll be off the steering and all of that. So just one of the things I wanted to address before I fired the car back off. And here, we'll bring it back over here. Sorry. So this is one of the things that I wanted to address before I fired the car back off and tried out the transmission and all that stuff. So I'm pretty much in the home stretch. Did a couple of things before, obviously, I turned the camera on. And I mean, if you guys are wanting to see every little thing that I'm doing, sorry. But I was just kind of in that, I got here, I wanted to move and get this stuff going. So this is the last little bit that I'm doing right now. Okay, I got this on. I just got to do a little bit of tightening. Oh, why am I not using a socket? I have no freaking clue why. I'm just being difficult. Let me go grab a damn socket. All right, there we go. I got a socket now. Kind of one of those things where it's like, what the hell are you doing, man? Just go grab a damn socket. So now, again, I have adjustability in this to be able to move these around just to make sure I'm totally off the steering. There we go. And they got room to move, you know, they can move, but the main thing was getting it off of here. So I'm gonna try to push this up a little bit. There we go. And now I'm probably 1/4 of an inch-ish away. So now you guys can see I got room now. And I'm not restricting anything, you know, it's all moving good. So I got the guy coming to look at the wheels. Here, let me get you out from underneath. Got the guy coming over to look at the wheels. So I'll show you. Sorry, I got my hand in the way there. So what I'm getting rid of are polished Americans. There's the fronts. There are the backs. And, you know, I mean, they got some life left in them. So hopefully he'll be happy. Get rid of these things. Like I said, this will pay for the transmission. And I tell you what, I'm going to get rid of these real fast, and give me a minute or two. We'll get back down and bring the car down and hopefully start filling up the transmission. And fingers crossed, man, fingers crossed. So here we go. All right, you guys, we are finally outside. Wheelie bars are looking pretty good, about a foot off the ground. But we're doing the transmission. Fingers crossed, you guys, fingers crossed. So let's fire it off and see where we're at. Here we go. Alrighty, you guys, I'm not sure on how good this is going to be, but let's rock.
Tried the brake.
All right, you guys, we're all done. Car's put inside. Everything's wrapped up for the day. Thinking the transmission is doing okay. Seemed to be good after driving it down the road. Went through all the gears, tried the trans brake. And for you guys that aren't familiar with it, to know where your converter is going to stall at, get rid of your two-step. Put the RPM at like 7,000 RPM. You just don't need to use it. Hit it, and when it stalls, it's going to stop. It just won't pull any more RPM than that. And that's where your converter is going to lock up at, and that's what your stall converter is. So I did it with this one, and it was a little goofy because when I first did it and I'm getting into it, it freezed all the way to about 4,500, and all of a sudden I thought, oh, is that where it stops? Got into it a little harder, gave it some more gas, and it looked like about 52. And then at that point, I was probably 3/4 throttle, and I thought, okay, that's more than enough. And about 52, 5,300. So, and it's about where Cone was telling me it's going to stall. You know, we're shifting this thing at 75, 76. So if you think about it, you get a 1,200 RPM drop. So at that point, about 6,400-ish is where, you know, first to second, you're going to seal it, second to third. So then throw in your nitrous to it, you know, 250, 350, 450 shot, and, you know, that's going to soak up even more. So I have 1,200 from no nitrous to where, you know, that's more than enough. I would say I probably can even run a bigger shot than a 400 or even the 450. So anyways, we're good there. Yeah, everything seemed to be okay. Temp-wise, it was a little warm, about 190, 200, but it's 88 degrees out here. And I didn't go far. I just went to the cul-de-sac and back. It's basically a mile there, a mile back. But the brakes are a little weird. I'm going to have to do some things with the brakes. Goes kind of soft, and then as soon as you pump it again, they start hardening up, and then they feel good. But I'm also not going to drive the car till the alignment's done, because if you look at how the front wheel is pulled itself in, yeah, I'm not, hold on. Ooh, sorry. But as you can see how that is, I'm not going to drive it anymore till we get it aligned and all that. So I got some interior work I need to finish up on. This whole car needs to be rubbed out, and paint job needs to be kind of brought back to life. Through the hood on it, there's the hole that I put in my hood. And then that is that door edge guard stuff that we were talking about, how it just cleans it up, makes it look nice and pretty. So there she be in her dirty glory. Dirty Glory. That sounds like a stripper name. But well, there she be. So anyways, you guys, look forward to seeing you guys again on another episode. Yeah, we're going to get the thing aligned. I'm going to call on Monday, see where we're at there, and then hopefully we can actually take it out on a little bit longer ride and see if the radiator and all that stuff and the cooling system on this is working good. But I just don't want to drive it any farther with the front end not being aligned, and I want to try a couple of things on the brakes. So anyways, hit that share, hit that like, don't forget the subscribe button, and ring that ding 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 little bell. And as the old man says, till we meet again. Till we meet again. See ya.